Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Maximilian College Basketball Conference Tournament previews. And for today, we will be going over picks and analysis for the Patriot League Conference Tournament. Super excited here to be breaking down the Patriot League. But, before we start, make sure to go ahead, like, subscribe, and check out the other conference tourney previews up on my channel for more picks and analysis. But yeah, let's first start with the bracket breakdown here. The Patriot is a traditional bracket format. So unlike the Horizon, which we already covered how they reseeded and whatnot, here it's going to be, your traditional bracket style. The top six teams do get the start in the quarterfinals here. This one starts on March 3rd with those first round matchups, and then we'll ramp back up on March 5th to give them time to travel, as these games are all on campus sites. And, I am a big fan of the campus site games. It does space the tournament out a little. You got to give them time to travel, but I do like rewarding your top seeds here with some home court. And, I think it does make for some great home environments too. It's fun to watch. You're not just playing a random neutral site game in front of no fans. So I do really like here when they do these campus site games. So I am looking forward to watching a lot of these ones. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the odds board here. The first thing I do is, realistically, who can win this tournament? And I think this graphic here, lays it out very nice. The left side is all I would look at probably for futures. I don't think anyone on the right column has a chance. That's why there's a big drop off between American plus 900 all the way to Loyola Maryland 45-1. And even that, I think their odds are much higher. So realistically, I think we're looking at the left column here as a realistic chance to end up punching a ticket here in the Patriot. So, Navy obviously is at the top. So I think a good strategy for this is, who threatens the top teams in this conference the most. Navy, they're 17-1 in conference play, and they're a substantial favorite here to punch a ticket. This Navy team, they're built on continuity. They returned 81% of their minutes from last year, which, that's just unheard of in this era of college basketball. And, that's why they're first in the country in continuity. And, that's helped so much in this Patriot League. Now, I think the semifinal game, let's go back to the bracket. That semifinal game, if Navy were to advance, I'm assuming they can beat Bucknell Army. If they were to advance that semifinal and take on Boston or American, I think that could present maybe a tricky spot for Navy, or at least trickier than some might expect. American was the one team to dish Navy their only loss in the regular season. And that's because of their scheme. I think it sets up really well when you're trying to upset an opponent, because American, they're going to shoot a bunch of threes on offense, and their defense is also going to take away opponent threes. So, it gave them a good chance to, swing up and maybe beat someone better than you. And that's what led to that one Navy loss in the regular season. And this American team, they also returned a lot from last year's squad that actually, punched a ticket last year. This American team won the Patriot last year and ended up going to the big dance, and they're 59th this year in continuity. So they did return a decent chunk from that team. The other team they might play would be Boston, who was unable to beat Navy in the regular season, but I thought they put up a legit chance to win those games. They lost by 5 and 8 versus Navy in those two games. And, I think what kept them in that, and, what gave them a chance to potentially win was the fact that, Boston does have the number 1 ranked offense in the Patriot. So I do think, if they were to maybe get a third chance, it's hard, after losing twice already, it is hard to win that. But I do think they would have a chance with that offense to maybe pull off the upset. So, if someone were to knock off Navy, I would look to those two teams. Who I wouldn't look to is Colgate and Lehigh, especially this Colgate at plus 360. I don't like those odds at all. I think they're just getting too much respect for what this program has been, historically. Not a big fan of this Colgate team, and at plus 360, no thanks. And Lehigh, who is the 2 seed, there's a reason why Lehigh, despite being the 2 seed, is right next to Boston and American in these odds. Lehigh, despite being the 2 seed, they are 5th on KenPom and net rating in the Patriots. So I do think they are just a little high as well. So, Navy, Colgate, Boston, and American all have a higher net rating than Lehigh. So for the actual pick, I am going to go ahead and take Boston and American for half units here at plus 850 and plus 900. Now, it is worth mentioning, I do believe Navy, they are the best team. I do think they win. But at minus 120, I'm not so sure that that is a appropriate price, for them to win 3 games in this conference. So for that reason, I am sprinkling half units here on Boston and American, despite the fact that they play each other too. I'm not exactly sure who's going to win that game, but I do think that they pose a serious chance to knock off this Navy squad. And if they do end up knocking off Navy, you can set yourself up to monetize that ticket as well. If you don't want to, sweat it out for the rest of the tournament. If you don't necessarily, if you think Navy's going to win and you're like, Max, you're crazy. Why are you taking Boston American? They're not going to win. An alternative would be, Navy's obviously going to be a favorite versus those teams. Maybe look to take the points, just take Boston or American against the spread. Because like I said, I do think they pose a good chance. And I think that game could be a little closer than some might expect. But yeah, so going to go ahead and take Boston and American. Let's take some long shots. Let's get some March craziness here in the Patriot to punch a ticket here. So. And that will do it for today's Patriot League tourney preview and analysis. Thanks so much for watching, and go ahead, like, subscribe, and check out my other conference tourney previews up on my channel. Best of luck, everyone, and thanks for watching.